This might have been an uneventful Sunday morning if Manny had not put the penis in the garbage disposal. You see, that was item number 2 on her list of things to do today. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony bounded from the exquisite sound system and floated through the Wakefield residence. The triumphant notes swirled and caressed Manny as she leaned against the kitchen counter. Her body alternately tensed, then relaxed, as the bold sounds vibrated the air all around her. Light poured in from overhead, giving the room a bright and airy feel. Sunlight flickered around the room, picking up the speckled undertones of the granite and the stainless steel appliances lining the walls of the richly appointed kitchen. Yes, this project was supposed to be quick, and so it would be. The kitchen was calm, bright, and inviting. The bedroom was not. Upstairs, the mirrored ceiling over the bed gave Judd Weston a full but fuzzy and disjointed view of his predicament. He was sprawled on a California king, a stranger's bed. A rope around each bedpost secured Weston's limbs quite well. Manny's surveillance over the last few weeks showed that Weston spent quite a bit of time at the gym. Oh, he thought he was in good shape. His leg muscles were strong. He pulled against the ropes purchased only 2 days ago, along with Manny's other project necessities. Weston desperately tried to pull his knees together, but it was not to be. A circle of red soaked through the Egyptian linen between his thighs. No doubt 1,000 thread count. Kyle Wakefield bought only the best. The red stain grew deeper. As he strained against the ropes, Beethoven's booming notes filled the room. The music masked the mechanical grinding of the disposal in the gourmet kitchen downstairs. In the next few seconds, the industrial strength disposal's grinding sounds diminished to a trivial hum. Then there was quiet. Was that all there was to it? Manny thought, standing next to the disposal. After all, the penis was passion's magic wand. It signified its approval of life by rising or bowing. This thing commanded attention. Ignore it at your peril. The penis could be mesmerizing when it was erect and fascinating in its potential. It was surreal. Manny formed a picture in her own mind of the exalted penis surrounded by a ghost-like halo. She could swear it emitted a hypnotic light, signaling its greatness. This phallocratic pointer was at the epicenter of every historic event. Although rarely addressed specifically, the penis, either singularly or when its size was being compared with others, was the unspoken focal point of most interactions. It looks like a harmless blob of flesh when uninspired. But make no mistake, the penis, inspired or not, is the glorious pen that writes the course of mankind's history. The mind often gives the penis magical powers, even when it's shriveled and prune-like with no hint of the majestic tool it can become. But be aware, the penis is always hungry and always in need of attention. It patrols its vague perimeter, like an ambitious soldier on the hunt for anything remotely resembling a dark, soft, wet, pulsing place. vagina, mouth, anus, or a convenient hand, all with military precision. But don't be fooled. It's not searching for an enemy. It's looking for satisfaction and release. It is its own weapon of utter destruction or the tool of unimaginable creation and pleasure. Today, Judd Weston's penis found a dark, wet, pulsing place, but it clearly was not satisfying. Sad, Manny thought. A penis was one of her favorite things. She loved to play with it. She recognized its magnificence and its sinister potential. She was not shy about inviting it into her every crevice, which she did quite frequently, if and only if she approved of its owner and her cravings demanded it. Manny lingered at the kitchen counter, savoring the music. Her mind drifted from the penis to the garden. She watched the majestic greenery through the expansive window. The house was ringed by large, evenly spaced magnolia trees. Scarlett O'Hara would have felt right at home here. The thick grass stretched from the house to the foot of the trees and disappeared into the well-manicured ground cover. The lawn carpet was smooth and even. It could have been manicured with a pair of scissors. Perhaps it was. Ah, such a peaceful place. She knew it well. The flowers conspired to bloom all at once. The light breeze moved them gracefully side to side, like members of a well-rehearsed church choir. A small pink and yellow playhouse stood at the far end of the yard. Among the greenery, the trees, the neat ground cover, and colorful blooms, there was not one weed in sight. Just as it should be. The sun was far above the horizon. Manny was reminded of just how hot she was. There simply wasn't enough air conditioning to counter the heat her body was generating. She had to move. After adjusting the air conditioner to the damn near freezing setting, she took the stairs up to the bedroom, 2 steps at a time. Standing at the bedroom door, Manny looked at the thing in the bed. Judd trembled. His eyes opened slowly. She took a small step across the hardwood floor toward the bed. He began to whimper. If his penis had been present, it surely would have been seeking a place to hide. The bobbin woman did a half-assed job, and for all the wrong reasons, Manny said. Judd's feet strained against the ropes. He trembled, and for very good reason. The hedge clippers still rested between his thighs. The metallic blades were shiny and dripped with crimson. Even from across the vast room, she could see his fear. It floated around him like green fog. Tears rolled across the duct tape on his mouth, pooled under his neck, then poured onto his chest. His sweat glistened in the light from the window. With eyes wide, he tried to speak. Duct tape blocked his pleas. He looked sad and powerless. He was powerless. Now he could not inflict his will on anyone. Hell, he couldn't even piss conventionally anymore. Manny shifted her stance and spoke again. You see, Judd, mature women stand some chance of protecting themselves from your kind. But little girls, well, they just can't. They're innocent. They're naive enough to actually think you're there to protect them. Judd continued to twist and strain against the ropes. However, Manny's knots were designed to keep a 40-foot catamaran in place. This well-toned but dickless wonder wasn't going anywhere. 7-year-old girls don't see the danger. Little Tabitha didn't, Manny said. How would she know you would violate her and leave her lifeless body in a trash bag in the woods? Manny snapped. Manny stepped closer to the bed. Little Tabitha. Recognition crept across Judd's face. Then unbridled panic. He trembled as wildly as the ropes would allow. The sensation in Judd's crotch was cold, hot, and excruciating all at once. His mind buzzed. He tried to construct his thoughts through the gauzy expanse of drug-induced fog. Too many sensations: fear, regret, pain, sorrow, confusion, but mostly fear. His head was getting clearer, but there was still a murkiness surrounding him. He blinked to clear his vision and tried to breathe deeply. Everything in his view had soft edges that seemed to be stirred into everything else. He tried to focus on the figure standing guard in the doorway. A human form, clad in black. Yes, a woman. But who was she? Had he heard this voice before? Nothing was clear. Where was he? Why was he here? Searing pain sliced through his thoughts. His memory was jolted. His eyes shot downward to where his family jewels were once stored. His heart beat and his breath quickened. He wanted to move, but could only manage what seemed like a slow descent into a painful darkness, despite the bright room. The black silhouette in the doorway was surrounded by light. The lightness and darkness of the spectre intensified, then began to fade. With a few deep breaths through his nose, he willed himself back from the darkness. Through the thickness of mental confusion, his jumbled thoughts tried to connect. The rounded hips, long legs, thighs, the voice. Was this the bitch from the bar? Nothing made sense. She was different now, dressed in black. Was he dreaming? He was struck by a disquieting thought. Was he dead, or just dreaming he was? Then the woman in black moved slightly. Manny raised her gloved left hand. The .45 caliber came into view. Judd instinctively panicked. The bed began to gyrate as he tried to free himself. He was strong, no question about it. He was strong, but not nearly strong enough. He was successful at making the bed dance, almost. The duct tape on his mouth rendered him incapable of intelligent speech, only loud, muffled sounds. The sweat rolled into his eyes. It was blinding. Manny spoke even calmer than before. Shh! Quiet now. Be still. I'll give you a chance to explain. I'll listen to what you have to say. His body slowly stopped moving. His eyes fluttered more than blinked. They were wide, eager, and pleading. He mumbled, but only managed a series of grunts. Here, wait a minute. Let me get that tape out of your way, Manny said. Judd Weston cautiously exhaled and took in another long, mind-nourishing breath through his nose. He prepared for his turn to speak. Manny pulled the trigger. Twice. The duct tape and his face disappeared into the redness of the Egyptian linen pillowcase. The world was her garden. This was one less weed. The room, the house, all went silent, even Beethoven. The faint smell of gunfire lingered in the air. She picked up the spent shell casings, retrieved the hedge clippers, and placed them in her gardening kit along with her weapon of choice. Manny returned to the gourmet kitchen, one step at a time. She ran her hand past the censer of the touchless faucet. Water instantly appeared. Mixing the water with her own chemical cocktail, she cleaned the blood from the deep farm sink. Manny cleaned, not wiped, not smeared, but cleaned everything: the floor, the countertop, the gorgeous backsplash that glittered in the Sunday morning sunlight. She even removed the plastic sheet she used to cover the faucet and the sink. Her goal was to leave a pristine but provocatively baffling crime scene. It always was. She was fastidious about her work. There was little room for error here. Lives were always at stake. Manny had covered the lower half of Judd's body with a large sheet of plastic, clear plastic, to prevent splatter and spray. Clear plastic had the added bonus of letting him witness exactly what was going to happen. Through a medicated stupor, of course. He could see it, but he could not change a thing. Once the hedge clippers had snapped together with well-engineered precision, she retrieved the authentic blob and dropped it into a regular Ziploc bag. She walked slowly to the kitchen. Not a drop of blood escaped as Manny moved from the bed, through the hallway, the stairway, the sunroom, the kitchen, and finally the disposal. She used a quart-size bag, but the sandwich size would have worked just as well. Funny thing about size, it often doesn't matter. One sweeping glance around this fantastic kitchen, and Manny managed a crooked smile. She was satisfied that someone, anyone, could walk into this kitchen this very morning and make scrambled eggs and bacon, or dice fruit, or just press the button on the Keurig and brew a damn fine cup of coffee. Hell, someone could even prepare a holiday dinner in here without ever suspecting that a child-defiling penis was pulverized only inches away. Judd Weston's passion wand, and all traces of it, were gone. Almost. She bathed the entire area with oxygen-based bleach to deal with any microbial remains of the blood that once made his long-gone penis rise on so many occasions. That rich red blood now coated the plumbing beneath the kitchen sink. It would never again surge through the lifeless body in the bedroom. Satisfied with her work, she gathered her tools and walked away. She reset the alarm system using the expected password and left through the pool door. Manny was silent as she slid onto the plastic sheeting draped over the seats of her car. She placed her gardening kit on the seat beside her, turned the air conditioner to full blast, and aimed the vents at her face, now uncovered. She slipped her latex cap from her head. Her tight brown curls rested on her shoulders. Manny took a moment to run through her mental checklist. Confident with her assessment, she pressed the start button, and her car engine sprang to life. She was eager to put this project in her rearview mirror. She drove slowly down the winding driveway, past the majestic magnolia trees. Manny mentally waved goodbye to Scarlett O'Hara. Miles later, she merged into interstate traffic. As she picked up speed, she lowered her window and took in several refreshing breaths. She then tossed the shell casings from her speeding car, one by one. She flipped her radio to her favorite channel. Manny, Mozart, Bach, and Beethoven enjoyed the Florida scenery for the next 37 miles. Her garage door at 8477 Beale Road opened by the magic of remote control. After easing into one side of the garage, the door rolled shut behind her car. The dim bulb of the garage door opener and the late morning sun lit the space. Manny allowed herself to breathe easy without trying to breathe easy. She stepped from her car onto the pre-placed plastic sheeting and began the ritual. True, her outfit would win no fashion awards, but she did look pretty damn good in black. It was her favorite color. Like a sexy lover, the shiny material caressed her body tightly. It hugged her arms, waist, and struggled to contain her abundant ass. It suppressed the roundness of her breasts, but didn't totally flatten them. Reaching down her back, she seized the long pull string of the zipper. The black latex suit clung to her body despite the generous sprinkling of talcum powder needed to pull it on. Her body eased from its latex casing like a shiny black banana. The zipper revealed skin from her neck, down her back, and then her large, well-formed mounds. The zipper slowed as it revealed her ample ass, then her bald crotch. Here's where it always got a bit tricky. But Manny knew how to maneuver around the delicate parts. She released her arms, jiggled her hips, and rolled the slick one-piece suit down past her knees and feet. She stepped from the latex suit and onto the sheeting. Air moved against her skin for the first time in hours. It was refreshing. She removed her latex socks and wiggled her painted toes, dislodging the moist powder between them. Her clothing, the sheeting from the car seats, her socks, towel, gloves, mask, cap, and hedge clippers were now piled in the middle of the plastic sheeting. A slim steel rod was inserted to scrape the inside of the gun barrel. A metal file was used to erase the gun's serial number. She added the weapon to the pile. After putting on a fresh pair of gloves, she lifted each corner of the plastic sheet and shifted the contents toward the center. At her feet was a neatly folded sheet of plastic. A crepe with very forgettable filling. She lifted the plastic bundle up and over into the barrel she'd prepared. She watched the contents begin to dissolve in the corrosive liquid. The fumes stung her nostrils. She took several steps back and turned away from the fumes. Her finger flipped the switch on the wall, activating the gentle hum of the exhaust fan. She then cleaned, not wiped, not smeared, but cleaned the outside of the barrel with her all-purpose chemical cocktail. She pulled the tip of each finger, removed her rubber gloves, and added them to her soup of disappearance. Manny now stood delightfully naked and coated with moist talcum powder. She wrapped her arms around her shoulders, caressed her breasts, and slid her hands around her waist and over her belly. Flecks of talcum fell away. She loved the freedom of her nakedness. Her silky skin relished the feel of the air. Her body enjoyed the sensation outside the latex suit. She was exhilaratingly tingly, a familiar sensation she always experienced when her clothes disappeared. Thankfully, there were no dreaded mirrors to capture the moment. Nothing to spit back at her reminders of what she was and was not. No mirror could accurately reflect all that was Maddie. Her best parts were hidden inside, out of the reach of a shiny reflection. She was quite a specimen, she thought, she felt, and even some people agreed. Her skin was smooth, her arms were slender but muscular. In her line of work they had to be strong, and they were. Her thighs kissed each other gently as she walked. Actually, she strolled. Her narrow waist gave way to rounded hips that made a clear distinction between mere walking and sensual swaying. Her belly was flat, not a six-pack, but taut. It was soft, not cottony, but firm. She didn't dare close her eyes as she circled her finger around her belly button. An innie. Her mind easily wandered to more pleasurable things. Her finger instinctively moved from her navel downward. She thought about touching her clit, perhaps flicking it with her finger. She knew she would. Then she did. There was something thrilling about finishing a project. A celebration was definitely in order. Her clit was screaming for attention long before her finger found it. Slowly at first, she wiggled her finger back and forth across the hood of her clit. Then her finger slipped easily around the hardening mound. Her excitement, thrill, and determination grew. She needed this. The last 24 hours had been unbelievably exhausting, physically and mentally, but worth every second. She watched her breasts bounce gently as she leaned forward to give her clit more attention. Manny reveled in the pleasure of just touching herself. Why? Because she could. Because she knew just where to touch. Because she could not get it wrong. Mostly, though, because it was her decision. Because she was in control of her body. Because she didn't need permission or approval. Because only she needed to like it and want it. And right now, she desperately needed it. She moved her crotch against her finger, then her fingers, sliding them over her clit and into her wet vagina. Manny continued her rhythmic movements with such precision she could have scheduled her pleasure blast with a stopwatch. There was no single orgasmic explosion. What began as a tingling became the wick that started a slow fire that burned delightfully through her body. Each cell sparked, then burst with its own private fireworks. Manny could feel each separate explosion, individually and then all at once. Her vaginal walls pulsated, opening and tightening to encourage more fireworks. The fireworks obliged. From the dark backdrop of her closed eyes, she could see shapely and vibrant colors. They spread widely, then blended into each other, giving birth to yet more colorful shapes. This cellular performance of her own making suddenly brightened. She could actually feel the dazzling colors. Orgasm in high definition. There it was, coming so fast she could barely breathe. She sucked air in, but her lungs would not let it go. It was convulsive and dizzying. She was off balance. She swayed with pleasure. She tottered forward to avoid kissing the floor. She was hot, even hotter, deliriously joyful, giggly, trembling, and drained. Her breaths were now long and short. She moaned and laughed all at the same time. Despite the absence of a second party, this was conveniently and intensely satisfying. She let her finger slide into the wet, slippery place her vagina had become. She gently coated her finger. Bringing her finger to her lips, Manny applied her nectar like brand new lipstick. She tasted like sweetness, joy, smoldering satisfaction, and a bit of talcum powder. She smiled. She was delicious indeed. Manny etched an edict on her brain. Panties have no place in a civilized society. One finger sent Judd Weston to hell. The same finger sent Manny to orgasmic nirvana. Like an expert skier gliding over new snow, her hands slipped over the mounds of her ample ass, each hand filled with the firmness she had come to love. Manny moved slowly across the garage floor toward the kitchen door. Each hip rhythmically bounced in its own semicircle. She licked her juices from her lips with long, slow swipes of her expert tongue. Amanda Huntsman allowed herself a guarded smile, a smile only she could fully appreciate. The very naked owner of Creative Landscapes Incorporated stepped inside her kitchen door. She was spectacularly unconcerned about the barrel in the corner or the pedophile in the king-size bed.